I hope and believe that this debate shows that the council will support asking the government for an economic assessment. And Councillor Fox, of course, is right. The Hospital Trust is obviously completely disinterested in the economic impact of the borough, and it's worth repeating what the hospital's own report said, just to emphasise that that annually they treat 210,000 patients in their outpatient clinics and treated another 40,000 patients on their ward. And as I said, if only 2 people visited each patient post-COVID, that's about 600, even 600 more people. But Mr. Mayor, we wrote these motions not in a political way, and not forgetting that the Conservative group had in the past put up motions, but we did not see this as political, because if we had done, we could have mentioned that for the last 15 years, while this has been bubbling, we have been opposing this either on scrutiny or in other ways. And if anybody wants to see what we did over those 15 years, we can show it. But we didn't want this to become a party political battleground. So the second thing is that the Brompton and all the services that it provides, that has been mentioned here at the council meeting tonight, affects the north as much as the south, because the residents of the north also are in the catchment area of the Brompton, and I know how important it is not to move it in. I think Councillor Healy mentioned people having to travel long distances. Now, when my own partner has to travel to Guy's, she has to go through 2 tube lines to get to London Bridge to Guy's, and somebody who has been quite ill travelling that distance when they could travel a much shorter distance, is really not a hospital thinking about their patients. This is all about money, and Councillor Fox talked about property prices collapsing. Well, of course, this happened during the 70s and 80s, and all these companies and trusts will do is simply mothball the property. They will just leave it sitting there until prices increase, and the books will say that in a time of improvement, which could be 5 years or 10 years, the property, they will have that on their books as a property that is worth $1 billion. And we know that London is full of investment properties and properties left empty that are worth billions, and these are used as collateral, as we know. So we were not trying to do catch up. We just didn't want this to become a political battleground. The other thing is that unless you keep it on the boil, unless you keep it going, then the Trust is not thinking about the motion that happened a year ago. Now they have more motions and they have more pressure. So this was not about forgetting what you did. This is about keeping the pot boiling, and you have to do that because these people don't care. They think they can do what they like, and legally they probably think they can. But we must put pressure. So it's been a wonderful debate tonight. I'm glad that we're going to support all the motions, but we did not want it to be political, which is why we didn't mention the history, which is why we wrote the motions as to try to appeal across the council, because we support you. The hospital happens to be in your area, but our residents need that hospital and those services as much as your residents do. So we don't look at it north and south. This is a borough medical facility. We do not agree with governments, whichever government it is, selling up and privatising off services. And that's why we wrote those motions. We love this hospital and our residents need it as much as your residents do. So thank you, Mr. Mayor.